Anybody remember that? That's what brought me here today. So, there's got to be something in there. How you going, Helios? Everyone's doing good. You people there didn't want to sit in the front row, is that right? You were worried that the comedian would talk to you? Yeah, what's your name?
Michelle.
Hey, there you go. You're a ventriloquist too. That was going to be my next question. What do you do? What do you do, Michelle?
I'm an engineer.
You're an engineer, just like Zoe, eh?
Yeah.
Fuck girl power. Us both fellas are feeling pretty inadequate right now. What's that? It sucks to be me. I can take my stage when the show's over. I've got that fucking power. Absolute power. What type of an engineer are you? Chemical, right? So you're the person that can actually, put one of those bombs, those chemical bombs in the underground or something in the trains and kill everybody.
Yeah, but I can't make beer.
You can't make beer. Well, sucks to be you. Ever can, then I'm leading my stage, so I'm doing exceptionally well there. And the young lady next to Evan, what's your name?
Betsy.
You're Evan. Why do I call you Evan? No, it's Michelle. Sorry, you're Betsy. And what do you do, Betsy?
I'm a nurse. I work in theatres.
You work in theatre, so you're a performer, a little bit like us, eh?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah? So you actually act at what you're doing as opposed to getting it right. Well, there you go. Big round of applause for all the people that pay their Medicare levy. That's all I can say after that one there. I was actually really worried that I wasn't going to make it here today because I had to come from the Gold Coast. And on my way up here, I actually got pulled over by the police, which is never a good thing when you drive a car like mine. And the policeman actually said to me, he said, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" I said, "No." He said, "I pulled you over to give you a random drug test."
Sucks to be you.
And here I am. So give us a yell if you've had one of those random drug tests. Yeah, I've done. Evan, did you pass or fail?
Passed.
Right, okay. It was one of two answers. What was the first thing you did after you passed?
I've shit myself.
You shit yourself after you passed? Not beforehand. Not beforehand. I was shitting myself before I passed.
Fine.
What's that?
I knew I was fine.
Well, no, I never knew I was fine. I was shitting myself up until then. The first thing I did after I passed my roadside drug test was I phoned up my mum. Now, she was really proud of me because I haven't passed many tests in my life. She knew that I'd passed one more there. Eventually that would happen. But back me up on this, Evan. When you're waiting for the results of your roadside drug test, it actually takes you 5 minutes while you're sitting on the road. Remember that? And I can promise all you people out there, during those 5 minutes, your memory is very, very clear. In fact, the only time my memory was clearer than when I was waiting for the results of my roadside drug test today was back when I was waiting for the results of my AIDS test. Because what happens, some of you people who are a bit young for AIDS tests and that, AIDS was like the COVID of the 80s and the 90s, when they tested healthy people and tell us that we were sick. Right? And what they used to do is they used to give you 10 days to wait for your results. Right? They could have given them to you a lot quicker, but they just want to fuck with you. Right? They really did. And during those 10 days, you were thinking about all the nastiest, dirtiest, most perverted shit you've ever done in your life. Right? And you weren't even alone in the shower while you were thinking about all this shit. But the biggest winner while you're waiting for the results of your AIDS test was actually your internet provider. Right? Because you were stalking every one of your exes on Facebook to make sure they're still alive. Now, I'll give you some examples. While I was waiting for the results of my test, I found one of my exes, Susie. And Susie looked like she'd gained about 15 kilos since we dated. Right? And so I was really, really happy about that, as you can imagine. Well, not because Susie was obviously healthy and not dying of AIDS, but at least I fucked her in a prime. But then I found another one of my exes, Cheryl, right? And Cheryl looked like she'd lost about 15 kilos from when we dated. And I was really, really worried. But you know how when you stalk somebody's Facebook, you go through their interests and shit like that? Well, I found out Cheryl's now into that, what's that pain in the ass thing that they do in the gym? CrossFit. She's into that, so I was happy. But the one that really, really got me, that really frightened me, was my ex, Kelly. Right? Because Kelly looked nothing like Kelly did when we dated. Nothing at all. I could tell it was Kelly. I could tell in the face. But I had to go through so many photos of Kelly, right? Until I actually found one of Kelly that I recognised. But that was back when Kelly was still called Kelvin. Anyway, getting back to it, how cool is that? I've just told you the 3 tests I've passed in my life. My AIDS test, my driving test, and my roadside drug test. Round of applause for me out there. I got them all out in one. Now, give us a yell here if you've got a job. Fuck, on the Gold Coast I don't usually get that response. Has anyone here ever left a job? Yeah? Why did you leave your job? You hated it? Yeah? I left my job because my boss swore at me. He abused me. Yeah, he said, Johnny, you're a fucking waste of space. You're fired. Now get the fuck out. So there I was thinking to myself, I was actually like unemployed for a while. And it was when I was unemployed that I thought about that quote from Winston Churchill. Find something you love doing and you'll never work a day again. So I decided that eventually like this was fun because I spent all day just watching hardcore porn. Judge Judy, Deadly as Catch, Ice Road Truckers and all of those shows. I even got into that show, it's called Gold Hunters. Do you know the one I mean? Yeah? Has anyone here watched that and figured that they'd go and find gold instead of working? Well, I did. Right? And I looked at what the cheapest way and the easiest way to go out and find gold was. So I went to Cash Converters and bought one of those second-hand metal detectors. And I bought like the headphones, I bought all that shit. I bought all the gear and I went out west. I found a place, I decided to start digging. So before I start digging, I turned the metal detector on and it was deafening. I knew there was gold and there was so much and I was about to retire. Every time I dug down and picked up some dirt, there was no gold in there. And I kept digging and digging and digging, and every time there was, it was still telling me there was gold down there. Eventually, I must have dug down about 8 feet, right? But I was getting blisters, so I took my steel cap boots off. And I decided after that it was time to go to work. The problem is nowadays, getting a job is a lot different than what it used to be. You used to just phone up and say, look, I'm after a job. Now you've got to fill out like resume, or you've got to send a resume, you've got to send a covering letter. And the problem I have is I suffer from that condition where where you can't tell numbers and letters apart. You know what I mean? Was it? Dyslexia? Yeah, I mean, who the hell would come up with a word like that to describe somebody who can't tell letters and numbers apart? Like, that's how cruel the English language is. It's literally the highest scoring word in Scrabble. Right, but back when I was young, it wasn't called dyslexia when I was at school, it was called being dumb. Which was really shit because, like, for someone dyslexic like me, you can't work out how to spell the word dumb because it's got a B that it shouldn't have. But then I went from being dumb to being illiterate. And that was pretty bad for a dyslexic to try and work out what he had as well. So dyslexia made it a lot easier. But somebody recommended a job where I wouldn't have to actually, really worry about letters and, working out whether it was a J or whether it was an L or things like that. They said, go and get a job as a bouncer. So I did that. A dyslexic bouncer. First thing they did was make me check IDs. I can tell you what, the kids that were born in the year 2008 had a cracker of a weekend that weekend. But with everyone's job, you know what, being an engineer as well, Michelle, people probably said to you in your life, they've said to you, what made you want to become an engineer? And people say that to everyone in their jobs. And they said to me, what made you want to become a bouncer? And I said, well, I didn't want to be one, I just realised I could be one. They said, why was that? I said, well, because going back to school, in maths, I always wanted to be good at maths because my dad was. But I couldn't work out the sums, so I'd just try and copy off the person next to me. And next thing would happen, the teacher would see me do that. They'd say, right, Johnny, get out. I'd be sent out of class. Of course, I'd be really pissed off, so I'd walk out in front of the door like this and stand there. In fact, I got sent out of class so many times, I didn't even worry about going in. I just decided I'd just stand out in front of the front door of my maths class like this. And because I'm always punctual, I'm always at places early, we had maths first period on a Monday morning. And I used to just actually rock up to school, books in my bag, standing like this, and a big line of kids would just line up here. They'd stay lined up there until the bell went, I'd give them a little nod and they'd start walking in. And there'd always be that one kid that wouldn't come in full school uniform and, you'd get up to him as he walked in, I'd stop him straight away. I'd be like, mate, not with those shoes, But who remembers as well the mad dash to the canteen at lunchtime? Who remembers that? You don't remember that, it's timeless. Yeah? Well, we had maths last period on a Thursday, just before lunch. Now I'm already outside the classroom, my books are already in the bag. The bell went, I grabbed my bag, first one at the canteen, where I put on a $20 cover charge. Except for my friends, they got to come in for free, they skipped the line, they came straight in. All they had to do was go up to the canteen and get me a can of Coke. Well, we were school kids, they couldn't afford a line of Coke, so... Mind you, if you knew the school I went, it was probably a bit easier than getting a can of Coke there. But every night when I'd be at work, there'd always be that one kid or that one young fella in their nightclub, and he didn't know how to chat up girls, but he wanted to be cool. So he'd walk straight up to the bouncer, and he'd come up to me, and they'd always ask the same question every night. They'd walk up and go, "So you having a good night, mate?" And I would look at him. The first thing I would think is, mate, I'm sober, I'm at work, you're pissed partying and you got all these girls around. But what actually in reality happened was we confiscated so much MDMA, I just gave him a big hug. But I'm just going to finish on this. Like, one of the worst things growing up as a dyslexic person was being a sports fan, right? And I found this out when the Foxtel man actually called me up and he got me connected to Foxtel, because he said to me straight away, he said, look, if you get connected, you can watch the NRL, the AFL, you know, the NBA, the NHL, the NFL. You know, you can watch all of these. And I thought, what a great idea. We got connected. I ended up waiting a 7-day cooling off period. Then I invited all my mates over to watch the UFC. And it was on that day that I realised how sensitive my friends are and how caring they are for my feelings. Because we'd watched 2 episodes of CSI. And we're halfway through NCIS before anybody said a fucking word. Guys, thanks very much. I'm Jonny Winter. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for having me.